Going back to Wayne Madsen on the WayneMadsenReport.com. Okay, Wayne, specifically, what's the word on what they're planning to do when the oil starts coming ashore, A, and B, why would Obama block the counties and states from protecting themselves with berms and jetties?
Well, I think what's going to happen if we start seeing these tropical storms, hurricanes, picking up this toxic soup in the Gulf and dumping it far inland, we're going to see we're going to see the poisoning of the freshwater supplies inland, the streams, the creeks, the reservoirs, the lakes, etc. And that's going to extend this disaster even further. As far as Obama, I think Obama is not acting as president of the United States. He's taking his orders from BP. And we had the Queen of England here. Everybody was in the media fawning over her. You know, BP stands for British Petroleum. Maybe I missed it, but I saw no protesters in New York where she visited. It was signs, protesting the fact that one of her big companies from her nation has basically...
Well, she's one of the biggest... She's one of the biggest shareholders. She's a eugenicist. Right. She's a globalist. She's a carbon tax monster who promotes all this tyranny, and everyone's fawning over some demonic, inbred old woman that our ancestors fought a war against. I mean, it's a disgusting joke, and that's a good point that you raised about Queen Elizabeth II. I mean, what a fraud. So you were one of the first to say evacuations would happen, or that was the info you were getting. Now we do see the media starting to promote it. So again, what is Halliburton and BP and others and all these companies going to do as that oil comes in?
Well, I think we're going to see the censorship and the PR spin continue. We'll get some reports, obviously, through the blockade, but I would note that my report on the evacuations was picked up by some websites, and just in the last week they printed retractions. Obviously, they got called by BP's big PR bigwigs and told to retract or at least amend the original story. What BP is doing is trying to limit the exposure of this disaster, and now we have them shopping around for investment money in places like Libya. They're going to Gaddafi to get bailed out. And other countries. So I think that's what we're seeing there. And where is the Environmental Protection Agency? This Lisa Jackson, who came out of New York, who's the administrator, we've seen nothing from the EPA. So the Coast Guard, the EPA, all very silent or complicit with BP.
Well, this is globalism. This is corporate governance. Back in 70 seconds, 5 more minutes with Wayne Madsen. Then Dr. Paul Craig Roberts joins us to talk about a host of issues. Stay with us. We've reached the halfway point in this worldwide broadcast. We have Chris Emery joining us in studio, one of the leading researchers on Oklahoma City, to look back at that government bombing operation used to demonize conservatives and patriots as they gear up to stage more terror attacks on themselves as a pretext to attack the American people. Meanwhile, a New York National Guard unit scanned vehicles for gun confiscation in the capital of New York, Albany. Amazing report out of Fox News. News 23, we have a detailed breakdown of the history of this and how they're slowly acclimating people for full-bore martial law. But now it's really reaching the boiling point at prisonplanet.com. We got 4 minutes left with Wayne Madsen. Wayne, other tidbits here, because, the statistics of the 51-year life expectancy of Exxon Valdez workers, and the statistics I saw, the government admits it was the dispersants, they believe, that were the main thing that really caused the autoimmune diseases and cancers to go off the charts. They're using a lot more of this stuff this time than they did in Alaska and a lot more populated areas. How does BP think they're going to get away with this?
Well, they're going to buy judges, and we already see them judge shopping for these civil suits. We see how they try to get these cases bundled and put them under Lynn Hughes in Houston, who has conflict of interest. He takes money from the oil industry. Martin Feldman, the one in New Orleans who overturned the moratorium on drilling, he's got ties to the oil industry. And Mark Fuller in Montgomery, Alabama, is a part owner of Oceaneering International, which is supplying those deep submersible robots that we've seen taking the photos of the oil gusher in the Gulf. What people need to do is put pressure on their members of Congress to have these three guys impeached, or at least force them to recuse themselves. If they're impeached, just Obama might try to put another pro-oil guy in their place, but filibuster that. Don't take any action. Make them go to other judges who don't have any ties to the oil industry. At least these three judges, and probably more, are tied to the oil industry, and they need to be removed, recused, or impeached.
All right, here's my last question on that issue. We know Obama is one of the main minions of BP. We know Rahm Emanuel had his apartment for many years paid for illegally. That's coming out in the Blagojevich trial there in D.C., where you live. We know that they set up cap and trade with Enron. We know this is a top New World Order globalist organization. And then we have the media acting like Obama has his foot on their neck. Is that part of the PR ruse to try to not have it come out that Obama is basically on the payroll?
Well, yeah, of course, Obama entertained the BP executives of the White House and then announced there was this $20 billion cap on damages, and that's nowhere near to what this is going to cost. I think in terms of over $1 trillion, maybe closer to $2 trillion. But what price can you put on the Gulf of Mexico and the other oceans that could be affected by this disaster?
And now they say it may just go on forever. Now they're not even trying to talk about fixing it. It's just, this is the way it is now. And
well, that's right. And the people who are complacent up here, it's a matter of time before this gets into the Chesapeake, the largest estuary in North America, and we're going to see that. They're already taking making emergency plans in North Carolina when this hits the Outer Banks. So this is not going to be limited to the Gulf of Mexico. And when it hits the Grand Banks off Newfoundland, the richest fishing grounds that North America and Europe depend on, then we're going to see, basically you can just kiss off seafood as a staple
well, that's the issue, is they say there's probably 2 billion gallons in that one hole alone, and it does go out around Florida and up into the Grand Banks. After it leaves the East Coast, it goes up there into the Arctic, and it's just horrible. Wayne Madsen, thanks for coming on with us. We appreciate your time with us. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll be right back with Dr. Paul Craig Roberts.